I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe. Well, hello to everyone and good morning. I am so excited about today's experience. You like that experience? I'm excited. Ronnie has really got some awesome stuff here that he is he wants to share with us with the word, and I'm excited. So I want to welcome each and every one of you into the Lockhart Perspective. I want to tell you I'm so happy to have you here. Our guest will be joining us in a few moments, but before he does, I want to read to you a couple of words and a few things that I think that everybody is. I want to just unveil some stuff. I want to do some. I want to have the apocalypse, as it were. And here's what I'm saying. I think that the end times is a lot more intrinsically, uh, I think it's a lot different than what we're expecting. I really do. I feel that a lot of the words that we've all been sort of hyped up on over the past few decades here are really going to shock a lot of us. When we think of the word apocalypse, of course, we think of, explosions and wild stuff and dangerous encounters. But we all know that the word apocalypse itself simply means the unveiling. And so there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the book of Daniel that we're going to look at today. We're going to look at some of the unveiling that the Most High has given to our brother, and some of the unveiling that some of you may have already received. If you're here today for the very first time, I'd like for you to put a 1 in the chat so that we can welcome you. And if you've been here before, please make sure that you are still subscribed to the channel and make sure that you give this a thumbs up. We really need this to get into the algorithm here on YouTube. Ronnie has been doing a lot of hard work putting all of these things together. And the wonderful piece that I love about it is how he's so excited every time he gets a download from the Most High. He'll be like, oh my goodness, you should see this part. Now look at this part. And we actually set up a couple of maybe like a week or so ago and broke down some of the things that he had. And I think we only broke the tip of the iceberg. I think we just touched the tip of the iceberg. Really, honestly, I do. So we're going to go on ahead and I'm going to bring you guys a couple of one or two scriptures. And then I want everybody to help me welcome our brother, Ronnie Mann. So if you guys have your swords with you, we're going to go to Daniel, and we're going to go to Daniel 9. And if you have the interlinear, that'd be even better, because then we can set the stage, as it were, for what it is we're about to do. So I use the Bible Hub. I don't know about you, but when I'm live, I use the Bible Hub. Ronnie uses the Bible Hub. And so that's good. So what we're going to do, he's actually here. So I don't know. Hey, Ronnie Mann, I'm actually going to read a little bit of Daniel 9. I don't want to step on your toes, so let's just get right into it. If
Okay.
if you're ready, I mean, tell me where to go. I was headed to Daniel 9, but you let me know
Well,
what you need.
let me not interrupt your flow. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's go with it. So if you guys do have interlinear, you guys can pull it up. But I like to do as Ronnie does, and that is go to the Bible Hub, and we're going to Daniel 9. And do I want to start completely at Daniel 9? Yeah, I think I do. I don't want the interlinear right this second though, so I'll just go to the BSB because that's the one I sort of enjoy. If I have to read um, if I have to read the actual Bible as opposed
Start
to online, as opposed to doing it with my book, with my actual Bible book.
start at
Oh,
verse 24. Getting and just go right in.
okay, let's do that. And I know we're gonna have an echo because my headphones sound like snap crackle pop. So what I'm gonna do is, as I speak, I'm gonna speak and then I'm gonna pull off, and you'll have me muted so that they don't get an echo. Okay? You can say okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so here we go. 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to stop their transgressions, to put an end to sin, to make atonement for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most separated place. That's verse 24. 25. No one understand this. From the issuance of the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the Mashiach, the prince, there will be 7 weeks and 70, excuse me, there will be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. It will be rebuilt with streets and a trench, but in times of distress. Verse 26. Then after the 62 weeks, the Mashiach will be cut off and will have nothing. Then the people of the prince who is to come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come like a flood, and until the end, there will be war. Desolations have been decreed, and he will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. But in the middle of the week, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of the temple will come the abomination that causes desolation, until the decreed destruction is poured out upon him.
That's some intense stuff.
Pretty much.
That's really intense. And the thing is that when we get into the English translation, we miss a lot of what it's actually saying in the original language, and then we, because most of us are native English speakers, or at least we speak English primarily. We get fixated on that specific version in that specific language, but when we dig into the actual original language, which here is Hebrew, Aramaic, things of that nature, as far as Daniel is concerned, you get a glimpse of what really is going on, and it's slightly different than what we've have been accustomed to here. But let's just talk about it real quick, if you don't mind. Namely, this is everyone knows that or everyone feels like this is the end times, and but when we're looking at this, it's really, really, really evident that we not only are approaching the end times, but we are definitely in the end times. And this is a major, major thing that we need to hold on to and keep on the frontlets of our eyes at all times, because it's it's intense, and it's almost like we need to buckle up our seatbelts, because we're gonna be in for a bumpy ride moving forward, like today, moving forward from here on out. Um, so, but like, have you seen certain things? Like, what does Joel tell us? The prophet Joel, and other places as well. It says that we're going to see signs in the heavens, and these signs in the heavens are going to precede, basically the coming of the end. And when you see these signs, the end is at the door, is near, even at the door. So here we are, and we're seeing these signs. And has anyone seen? I want to connect some dots. I want to connect some dots. Things that seem arbitrary, and things that seem like maybe they're not put together. Let's connect some of these dots and put them together. Have we seen that green comet that's in the sky, or news of that green comet that's in the sky currently right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a green comet in the sky right now, and it's and like I said, let's just talk about it, and we can corroborate it with scripture or what have you, if we need to pull it up. But just having a conversation, like, there is a green comet in the sky right now. They say that it's on an orbit of 50,000 years. 50,000 years. So no man has seen. I mean, uh, primordial man has seen this. The last people that have seen this were Neanderthals 50,000 years ago. And now we're seeing it now. So it's really no coincidence. We have to put these things together. There is a comet that's in the sky, and the scriptures let us know that these signs in the heavens are dictating the signs of the times. So we have to pay attention to this. He tells us to be watchmen on the wall, does he not? We always have to be vigilant and be mindful that we're looking for the coming of the kingdom, and that is of the utmost importance. We have to be vigilant. We have to be vigilant. And again, we have to be vigilant. So let's examine this. Do you have anything like that you can pull up as far as that comet that's in the sky? First of all, it's green,
Oh yeah,
right?
I can pull up the stuff. You mean about the comet? That's like like after this, that's gonna be it. Won't see it again for a long time. That cat.
For 50,000 years. Pay
Okay.
attention. Pay attention to that number. 50,000 years.
Mm.
50,000 years. And I'm making this connection based on, well, not based on, but it definitely couples with the 70 weeks prophecy.
Mm-hmm. Well,
What we're dealing with is a clock that's winding down, and we have an hour hand, we have a minute hand, and we have a second hand, and it is all aligning and coming to 12 o'clock, and when it is in full alignment, it's pretty much a wrap.
that
So,
is.
okay.
I've got it right
So,
here.
all right, so look, so this green comet that's in the sky now, right? We're seeing it in the northern hemisphere. We're going to continue to see this green comet that doesn't come around except for every 50,000 years. We're going to continue to see it in the northern hemisphere until the end of January, and then after that, it's going to dip below the horizon, and it's going to be in the southern hemisphere. So our brothers and sisters below the equator, or on the other side of the equator, will they'll be able to see it. But if you look in the north, any time from when it gets dark all the way till it's morning, if you have fair skies or what have you, you'll be able to see it with the naked eye. But if you have a telescope or some binoculars, you'll definitely be able to see it. But it's interesting that it's green, and I'm talking about metaphorically. And have you ever noticed in Revelation 4, if you read Revelation 4, it tells you that the throne room is green.
Emeralds, green, yes.
The throne room of heaven is green.
It's green.
And it radiates a light so brilliant that it reflects, the whole entire light spectrum, all the, the light, the rainbow. And it has a sea of glass like crystal all in front of it. So that's interesting that, we have this green motif as far as the, throne room of heaven in Revelation 4. Also, Enoch talks about it. And then, interestingly enough, we have a green comet in the sky. Keep in mind in the background, I'm going somewhere with this. Keep in mind in the background, it's a 50,000 year cycle. So 50,000 year cycle. So okay, so let's just talk about the historical aspect, and get into maybe a little bit of archaeological aspect or what have you. But
I have this up. I'm going to read this just a little bit to cue everybody into where we are on the green comet,
okay.
because maybe not everybody is aware, but I'm going to go on ahead, you guys. This comes from the Weather Channel, and it says, how can you watch the fabled green comet that's been buzzing all over the news before it goes away forever? Valentine's Day is fast approaching, which means you'll probably be rummaging through the bottom of Google's extensive drawers, frantically trying to find the most romantic thing to blow your partner off their feet. And we get it. It's hard to find something that's not done a million times over in all the movies they engross themselves in. Consider this: a romantic candlelight nighttime outdoor picnic with a backdrop of a literal lifetime, a beautiful comet that humanity might never see again. The C2022 E3 ZTF comet has been sightseeing around our solar system for the past few days, making its closest approach on Sunday, January 12th, and it's now headed out. It's slated to make its closest approach toward the Earth near the end of this month. Apart from the distinct green haze, this comet is especially special for one or more reason. The last time the comet was somewhat visible from Earth was 50,000 years back. Had it been bright enough, some Neanderthals might surely have wondered why there was a weird green splotch in the sky. For all we know, they could see it. They didn't have all the stuff going on we do. Anyway, coming back to the present, it's still challenging to predict exactly how bright the comet might be in the night skies. However, it should be easy to spot with a good pair of even small binoculars, provided you know where to look. The closest approach will to us is going to be on February the 2nd, when it will be about 4.2. How do you say this? Is this Creor kilometers away from the Earth? It should peak at a brightness of 9.21 visual magnitude. The higher this figure is, the easier it is to spot generally. The Indian skies. In the Indian skies, the comet is actually visible right now as well. If you look in the northwest direction, you might spot it 16 degrees above the horizon in the Boots constellation. However, since it's straddling a visual magnitude of around 6.3, it'll be hard to spot in the night sky. If you indulge your lovely partner on this date of a lifetime, shoot for a dark place outside the city lights, a few days ahead of the comet's peak, since the almost full moon might try to steal some of its incandescent thunder at the time. If you snap any pictures of it, do tag them, us, it says, in our social media. This comes again, got to give them their credit. This is the Weather Channel. All right, so that's where that's from. That's what we're talking about. 50,000 years. 50, how many?
50,
How many, Ronnie?
50,000 years ago is the last time that it has, traversed anywhere near Earth. So, this is definitely, because the whole entire celestial is a great, cog is a great time clock, if you will. And it's, I mean, what Genesis, this is Genesis 101. Basically, Genesis 1 said that he's created the sun, the moon, and the stars for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years. So these things are, and then, like I said, he tells us time and time again that, that in the last days there will be signs in the heavens that are letting you know that the end time is right here at the door. So when we make correlations to what's going on, it's just very interesting, to know. And let's just have the conversation. Let's just have the conversation. 50,000 years ago, what happened? This is how my mind works. I'm like, okay, so what happened 50,000 years ago? Because I'm looking for any kind of significant detail that indicates drastic change, because what has happened before will happen again and will happen again. That's just how it works. There's nothing new. There's nothing new.
Exactly.
It's on a cycle. So what happened last time? What happened 50,000 years ago? Interestingly enough, there is a time period what academia calls the brain's Big Bang, or the Great Leap Forward. and that just happened to be 50,000 years ago as well. So that is when we started using tools all of a sudden. Like they say, as far as the archaeological evidence is concerned, humanity just like blossomed overnight. um, we began we started writing, we started drawing. This is when like cave paintings started to come about. We started art. We started using tools, um, language. I mean, we started writing. That's like that is a profound leap from, you know, from Neanderthal to let's go ahead and start having conversations and writing things down. That's a tremendous leap. So go ahead and look it up. Like it's fascinating, um, and it's it's definitely in the archaeological record. Is definitely in the historical record that this is when academia um, tells us that we had this huge shotgun blast momentum forward in thinking, in intellectualism, things of that nature. So yeah, the intelligence Rubicon, exactly. Um, so what's fascinating with this is that it coincides with the last time this green comet came around. Um, what does that mean per se? Uh, but like I said, let's just throw a whole bunch of things on the table, and then let's sort it out. So what else? So in the Chinese tradition, and we had this conversation. Well, we had somewhat of this conversation in the Chinese tradition, in the ancient Chinese cultures, or culture, yeah, cultures. Um, the supreme god is called the Jade Emperor, and the Jade Emperor is, of course, he's jade. He's green. He's green. He's the Jade Emperor.
He
He's the
would be green.
right, he's the supreme.
The Green
Um,
Lantern.
he it, interesting. So, he's the supreme, quote unquote God. He's the one that created man, and he created them from clay. And this is the the ancient Chinese traditions account of creation. The Jade Emperor created man from clay. So what's going on with him? Okay, so one aspect, one storyline is that there were four great dragons, and they disobeyed him. It's a whole storyline or what have you, but uh, case in point, they ended up disobeying him, and he uh, imprisoned them in the river. They're called the river dragons in the legends, the river dragons, and he imprisoned them under the rivers. Now, when we go to Revelation, we see four angels in the end of days that are free from the river Euphrates. So it's very interesting, the correlation there. Revelation is corroborating an old Chinese tale of creation, and in the end days, these four river dragons, they come out, and they wreak havoc on mankind. Also in Revelation, there's four angels that are released from the river, and they wreak havoc on mankind as well. Um, like I said, the Jade Emperor, he also uh, created man from clay. The the Bible corroborates that as well. Um, this whole and then of course we have the green theme. That's an interesting connection. So what? So I'm saying all this to say that these ancient cultures are tied in. Like, there's truth in all of it. It's just what it is these cultures are speaking from their perspective on what's going on, and then their tradition. Throughout their tradition, it kind of stays inside of their culture or what have you. And then we get varied stories, but all in all of all the storylines share the same essence. So that's interesting in and of itself. Um, and then also the scriptures corroborate that the throne room itself, when you go to Revelation 4, the throne room itself shines brilliant like an emerald. And also the one who's sitting on the throne is of sardius stone and jasper. That's like a, a copper bronze type, uh
Yeah.
like warm essence of a glow type color. So, you know it's 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 incredible. It's just incredible, the connections that are there. So
Well, I've got Revelation 4 pulled up right now. And I'm
no,
going
no,
to
no
read that because I love that part. I mean, just, you know what? I think there are certain things that we don't take literal, and then there are certain things that we should take literal. There's a lot of
yeah.
stuff that should literally be taken literally. I mean, literally. Play on
So
words.
read the end of verse 1, because
Okay.
what he's telling you is that this is what's going to happen in the end times.
Okay, so it says, after this, I looked and saw the door standing up open in heaven, and the voice I had previously heard speak to me, like a trumpet saying, "Come up, and I will show you what must happen after these things." That's the end of verse 1.
Mhm.
You want me to go ahead?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I will show you what must happen after these things. So and all of this is in the end times. Yeah, verse 2.
Okay, verse 2 says, "At once I was in the spirit, and I saw a throne standing in heaven with someone seated on it." Verse 3, "The one seated there looked like jasper and carnelian, and a rainbow that gleamed like an emerald encircled the throne. Surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and on these thrones sat 24 elders dressed in white, with golden crowns on their heads."
So it tells you right here in Revelation 4, and we might have missed it plenty of times. It tells you that the throne room of heaven gleams like an emerald, and it's so brilliant that it radiates the light of, every single aspect of the, spectrum, the light spectrum, the rainbow. Um, what's interesting enough is I was looking through some videos, and this student just 2 days ago was recording the aurora borealis, and I don't
Oh,
know if you
yeah, yeah.
and it was so brilliant. Okay, so when you see the aurora borealis, you see it, it's a lot of green, and then it might have some, pinks and some purples and some reds, maybe a tinge of like a hot orange or something like that.
It's definitely
um
going to have some blue.
Blues, exactly. And then, like, you'll see flashes of the light spectrum as far as rainbows, but in essence it's green. And I never ever put that together. And okay, I'm just speculating right here. But what if, when John, the who they call John the Revelator, and it says in verse 2, it says that he was in the spirit, and he got whisked away, and then he saw the throne room of heaven. How do you know he wasn't looking at the aurora borealis? You know, I'm
Just
just
throwing
throwing
it out
something out
there.
there.
I mean,
Yeah.
he could
I,
have
I don't I don't
been.
necessarily I don't necessarily believe that, but it's fascinating to, possibly connect those dots, because I've never put those together before. And then when I saw, after I've been reading this, and then I saw that video, I was like, whoa, that looks like what I read in Revelation 4 to the T. It was all green. It was all green. There was no other colors, and there was a little bit of radiant rainbow, reflecting like in the undertone, but it was completely green. And I'm like, that's interesting. There's a green comet in the sky right now. The aurora borealis is literally completely green. And I'm reading Revelation 4 talking about, uh, the throne room has flashes of lightning, and it radiates
Ah,
emerald.
this is
So
amazing. Yeah.
I'm just like, wow. So what is all that saying? And then, like I said, the Jade Emperor, who's green, and then look, Osiris, the premier god of Egypt, he's green.
Mm,
Thoth wrote the Emerald Tablets.
that's right. Green. That's
It,
right.
it, so like this, it's like a harbinger of something.
Yeah, it really is. It honestly really
Abib,
is.
Abib, when springtime comes, that's green. So like, it's really interesting. It's just
Well,
really
I'm gonna
interesting.
let me read the rest of this because while you're saying the things you're saying, you're picking up some of the stuff that's here in Revelation 4. Revelation 4:5. From the throne came flashes of lightning and rumblings and peals of thunder. Before the throne burned 7 torches of fire. There are 7 spirits of the Most High, and before the throne was something like a sea of glass, like a sea of glass. You get that? As clear as crystal. In the center around the throne were 4 living creatures covered with eyes in the front and in back. And the first living creature was like a lion, and the second was a calf. I'm not going to get into your teaching, but if you want me to
No,
stop, let me
no,
know
no,
where to
no, no,
stop.
no.
Huh?
No, go ahead. I
Okay.
mean, dude,
All right. And the second was like a calf. The third had a face like a man. And the fourth was like an eagle in flight. And each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings and was covered with eyes all around. Now, this sounds like, I know, well, let me just finish. I don't want to go into the other chapters that it sounds like. Night and day, the eyes were all around night and day. They never stopped saying, separated, separated is the Lord, Yah Almighty. Holy, holy, holy is what it says here in this, but we know that holy, because we did study on holy, he is separated. He is completely, he is to himself. He is not like anybody else. So when we look up holy, we know what holy is. Anyway, it says, who was and is to come. Verse 9 says, and whenever the living creatures give glory, honor, and thanks to the one seated on the throne who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before the one seated on the throne, and they worship him who lives forever and ever. They cast their crowns before the throne, saying, worthy are you, O Lord God. That's what the scripture says here. To receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things. For your will they exist and came to be. By your will they exist and came to be.
Yeah. So you this whole process is going to happen at the end of a specific time, and we haven't really dived into the Daniel prophecy as of yet, but it all relates. So like, these things are going to happen at its appointed time, and Daniel is sure to continue to let us know that regardless of what you think, regardless of what you try, these things are going to happen at its appointed time. And when we look at the Hebrew, these appointed times are actually feast days. So everything coincides and everything is on
Yes,
time and
yes.
on appointment, in the feast day, or at the feast day, or on the feast day. And,
That's true.
and
I've noticed how everything lines up like that, even now.
everything.
And
Um,
they're even doing launches with like the shuttles and the space things that they want to send up allegedly into space. A lot of those things are done on the Sabbath,
Sabbaths
at
in
the new
accordance with
moon
the moon
day, and
cycle.
all those types of things.
Exactly, in accordance with the moon cycle. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So let's begin to tie some of these things together. Interestingly enough, Yahweh Shah constantly tells us that, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is coming. Repent, for the kingdom of Elohim is coming. so on and so forth. So he tells us a couple of times. I can give you 3 accounts. He tells us that his time, or the time, or the end of time, if you will, is going to be at the end of the age. This is what he constantly says.
Hmm.
Um, like he's talking to the the people, and he says this is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous.
Hmm.
Um, at the end of the age, what in the world is that? And then in Matthew 24,
Hmm.
uh, I'm reading
I'll go
the
over there.
NIV. Go to okay. I was gonna say go to 28 since I'm at 24. Go to 28 and then go down to the very bottom of Matthew 28. But in 24 it says, I'm reading the NIV. It says, as Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? And then what do you have for 28? At the very end, like he's telling us to, he's given us what Christendom dubs the Great Commission at the very bottom. Okay, well, nonetheless, he's talking about going to baptize all nations, and then he comforts them and lets them know, you do all these things, and I will be with you until the end of the age. So what is that? That's the Greek. The Greek in the English age, it's the Greek aeon, and these are celestial cycles. We're talking about astronomy. We're talking about the constellations. So that's the hour hand. There's 12 constellations. Side note, which is why there's 12 disciples, which is why there's 12, um, you know, tribes of Yasharal, things of that nature. So we have we have this continuous theme going on with this 12. These are cycles. These are 12 cycles, and they're called ages. Right now we're in the age of Pisces. And can you hear me? I hope you can hear me, because
I can hear you. Didn't we just bend into Aquarius?
we're bending into Aquarius. If we're not already,
Yeah. Yeah.
at the, we might have our pinky toe in Aquarius.
Yeah, we're in
Uh,
Aquarius.
but this is the thing. Don't be so confident in saying that we're in Aquarius, because if you're saying we're in
Oh, I don't want
Aquarius,
all that Aquarius has to go with it.
if you're saying if you're confident that we're in Aquarius, you're saying there's a whole lot of things that you're saying without saying it. So
Absolutely.
so this is what I'm saying. Like when Yahweh Shah came, he ushered in the age of Pisces. And I'm not talking about astrology. Don't get it confused. We're not talking about astrology here. What we're talking about is astronomy. We're talking about the sun, the moon, and the stars. We're talking about the celestial clock that lets us know what time it is. So check this out. He ushered in Pisces. He let us know when he was getting the disciples ready for Passover. He said, hey, go into the city. And when you go into the city, you're going to see a man carrying a pitcher of water. Follow him to the house. When you get to that house, tell the master of the house, tell the host of the house that the master wants to prepare for Passover, and he's going to take you to the upper room and then go prepare for Passover there. This is all code. This is coded language here. The man in the city that is carrying the pitcher of water, that's the water bearer. That's Aquarius. He's letting
Correct.
you know. He's letting you know. He's getting you ready. And what's Passover? What is he getting us ready for? He told his disciples to prepare for Passover. Passover is death passing us over. He's giving us the roadmap. Hey, when you enter into the city, you're going to see Aquarius. Be on your P's and Q's so you can escape death. So death can pass you over in the age of Aquarius. And he tells you constantly, I'm going to be with you till the end of the age. He's letting you know that I'm here for this age. I'm your shepherd for this age. And the new age is going to usher in. And when that new age ushers in, then it's going to be a brand new, you know the song. This is enlightenment.
I know the song. Does everybody in the chat know the song? We can get our lighters out and dance side to side. No, just joking.
But you know, Aquarius is the age, is the time of higher learning, you know, leveling up. Our minds are, you know, in tune and amplified, if you will. We're going to the next level. This is the kingdom. It's the kingdom. We're advancing. We're augmenting, if you will. And in this time frame, look, so check it. The reason why it was such a big deal when they were in the wilderness, when the Hebrews were in the wilderness and they were worshiping the golden calf, it's because Moses was ushering in the age of the ram, and the age of Taurus was ending. The age of Taurus was ending, and they're still sitting here worshiping the calf. And change is hard. Change is hard and difficult because we've been so, you know, ingrained, and we've been doing this for the whole entire age. So the transition is going to be a rough road for everybody. But we are in transition mode right now as we speak. And the people couldn't get it, and they had to die for it. Like they were killed for it. Like if you can't like if you can't do a smooth transition into the next age, you're going to fall off. And you know, Moses commanded that 3,000 people be killed because of that situation. Well,
exactly.
Because of that situation, you know. So so this whole transition phase, and they were transitioning from the age of Taurus into the age of the ram, and then the age of the ram, that's all Abraham's seed. It's all Abraham's seed. Everything, you know, Abraham sacrificed Isaac, or he was about to, but instead there was the ram in the bush. Why?
Ram because in the bush. Hallelujah.
Because now we've entered into the age of the ram. Then we've been in the age of the ram for you know, that length of time, that, if you will, dispensation or what have you, that age. And then Yahushua comes along and he ushers in the age of Pisces. And what's Pisces? Pisces is 2 fish. He's feeding everybody with 2 fish. I mean, when you got to go pay the tax, he's like, hey, Peter, you know, just for the sake of just, you know, keeping it even and everything, you know, everything peaceable, go and, you know, when you get that, go to the river, grab a fish and take 2 you know, pieces of money
out of the get that 2-piece box of meat.
Exactly to pay the tax or what have you. So, you know, like, and then the traditional, if you will, sign for Christendom, you might say it's the cross or whatever, but it's that fish. It's that little fish sign. If you know what I'm talking about, if you can see it. So I mean, you get my point, is that he was ushering in another age, and he's the shepherd of his people for that age, for all of the ages actually, but for that age he was doing his job, and then he's going to sit on the throne and be, you know, the king for all ages to come or what have you. But the next leg of the race is the man who's carrying the pitcher of water. That's Aquarius, and that's where we're turning the corner into right now as we speak. Literally, as we speak, we're entering into, if we're not already pinky toe in, the age of Aquarius. It takes some time though. So look, so this is about an age. This is about an age. An age is roughly a little more than 2,000 years. An age is roughly about 2,000 years. So if you know that there's 12 constellations or what have you, then roughly a little more than 2,000 years each is about 25,000 years ago. You with me?
I'm very much with you. I'm focused on this word.
So
Yes.
one cycle of a full, from Pisces to Pisces, or from Aquarius to Aquarius, is about 25,000 years. 2 cycles is about 50,000 years.
Come on now.
So we're talking about 50,000 years ago, the last time we seen this green comet in the sky. That was 2 Pisceses ago, where we were entering into the age of Aquarius. And 50,000 years ago, we had a huge, quote unquote, enlightening event that swept all across mankind, where we started writing, where we understood language, where we developed art, where we, started using tools, like we were, quote unquote, enlightened. And here we are now on the precipice of Aquarius, transitioning from Pisces to Aquarius. And it is a huge, I'm saying quote unquote, because I really don't like this word in the sense that, the English gives it, but we're entering into an enlightenment phase, where we're going to, because what does he say? He says we're all going to know. Like, he's going to open up all of our minds. He's going to give us the pure language all over again. So it's like the Tower of Babel in reverse. We're getting a pure language all over again. He said that your neighbor will not have to teach your neighbor. Your brother will not have to teach your brother. All of us are going to know. Like, we're entering into the next phase. And so look, that was 2 cycles ago. A day in the Hebrew concept, does not literally necessarily mean a 24-hour period. It means a specified time frame. So in using that mindset, we say day in the English, but it's a yom. Modern Hebrew says yom. Says a yom. A yom is a time frame. So 2 yoms ago was 50,000 years ago, and then one yom ago was 25,000 years ago. Here we are again on the on the dawn of the next yom. Right here, that's 3 days. That's 3 days, and we all rise on the 3rd day. We rise on the 3rd day. This is very important stuff. And then check this out. It's so much deeper than this. A day is 1,000 years unto Yah.
That's correct.
And 1,000 years is a day unto Yah. So
Correct.
there's 50,000 years that accumulate to 3 yoms worth on the macro scale.
Okay. Okay.
So 50,000 years, that's if a day is 1,000 years and 1,000 years is a day unto Yah, then 50,000 years is 50 days.
To Yah.
Yeah, this is a jubilee.
Correct. That's right.
This is a jubilee. This is 50 days is the Feast of Weeks. This is 49 days, and the next day, the 50th day, that's the Feast of Weeks, what Christendom calls Pentecost. This is what Christendom calls Pentecost. It's the 50th day. This is when the set-apart spirit comes and showers down on you, and you get tongues of fire. You start speaking in the language that everybody understands. Like it's here right now. It's here right now.
Mm.
And what's going on is that's the hour hand. The minute hand is over there in Daniel chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10, chapter 11, and chapter 12, where he's telling us about the 70 weeks prophecy. Like everyone's speculating on what in the world is, the week. What is a week? 70 weeks. And then they have all these different timelines and time frames. But listen, if you're looking at it from a westernized mindset and you're trying to grab it or grasp it from an English perspective, you're never going to understand it, because this is a Hebraic prophecy, prophesied by a Hebrew for the nation of Yasharal, for the Hebrew people. The whole mindset is Hebraic. So how do they calculate time? On the macro level, they calculate time in jubilees. And jubilees are groups of 50. So I am throwing this out there, and when you do the math, you'll be astonished that this 70 weeks prophecy are 70 jubilees. Please pay attention. Please understand. This is contrary to, I'm sure, everything that you've ever heard from the pulpit. And the reason why is because the Gentiles don't know. The Gentiles don't have a clue. The Gentiles are trying to figure it out. And the thing is, the word is for the Hebrews and everybody who cleaves to the house of Jacob.
Mm-hmm. And that's the word. That's biblical right there.
So if we're looking at it through any other aspect, we're looking through a glass darkly, but it is a very thick glass, and we're looking at the very thick glass very darkly, is what's going on. We have to, and again, we have to look at these things through a Hebraic lens. So the Jubilee is the great year of redemption.
That's right.
When all debts are just forgiven, everything. So we're about to enter into like the debt-free zone.
That's right.
So this is the thing. People from the pulpit or from seminary or from the theological perspective, they read Daniel and then they give the starting point at the decree of Cyrus, when Cyrus said, "Hey, you can go back to," because they were in captivity.
Correct.
And then, hey, you can leave captivity and go back to your land, and then you can build up your city all over again, and basically you're free to go. And then King Darius comes along and he foots the bill, and they build the second temple on King Darius's time. So they make the starting point of this 70-week prophecy with him. But if you go back and you scrutinize the text in the Hebrew, the prophecy starts with Moses taking his people out of Egypt. And when you start the clock with Moses taking his people out of Egypt, being 70 years, or I'm sorry, pardon me, 70 weeks being 50 years, which is a jubilee, a week being a jubilee, that equals to 3,500 years. So if you're counting backwards from right now, Moses took the Hebrews out of Egypt 3,500 years ago. 3,500 years ago.
3,500 years ago, yes. It's every 50 years, Mama Carol. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, it's every 50 years. It's every 50. No, you could say every 50 years, but it's every 50th year.
Right, so it's like
I
And
would
you
like
know
to
what?
say
I
that that
don't
might
want
be a better.
everybody to get sort of stuck in that portion, more so
No,
that
that's a huge
wait
portion.
until you guys hear where we're headed, because I've heard a lot of what Ronnie's about to share with you. But I like the way that he breaks it down so that you, especially if you were here at the very beginning, so that as you take in every bit and more so, you see and you'll begin to have revelation as he's breaking it down. Because I want to tell you that we have heard this 70 weeks taught in so many different ways. We've heard speculation, we've heard people guessing, we've heard a lot of things, but rarely do they take the complete timeline in the actual way that it should be broken down. You can't take my story and put it into the 1940s when I wasn't born till the 60s as an example of putting things in the perspective of the timeline that they're in, right? Things are different in each timeline. Things are different in each decade. Stuff changes. I mean, you were using a VCR a long time ago. You'd be shamed right now if you were to use one. So my point is, as he breaks this down, he's breaking it down historically, he's breaking it down biblically, and once you follow, you know how cool he talks. He's real cool and methodical with it. But I'm telling you, if you just sit back and wait a second, you will be amazed at how this breaks down. Ronnie, go ahead. I'm gonna let you have it.
Well,
Go ahead.
what we just talked about was the minute hand, and we see that the minute hand is pardon me, forgive me. What we just talked about is the hour hand, and we see the hour hand slowly creeping towards 12 o'clock. You know, the
Yes.
proverbial 12 o'clock.
Yes.
So the minute hand is definitely the prophecy in Daniel. And these are the end times, this last 70 weeks. In verse 24, it tells you that the 70 weeks are determined upon thy people. And I don't even know what version I'm reading. I'm reading the King James. To finish the transgression and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and the prophecy, and to anoint the most set apart. This is verse 24 in Daniel 9. Now listen, let me break just that portion down, in very layman of a term. 70 weeks has already been determined for Yah's people and for Jerusalem to accomplish a certain amount, to a certain set of things inside a 70-week period. And what are these things? To finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness. These are the guidelines. These are the things that are happening one at a time within these 70 weeks, to seal up the vision and the prophecy, and then to anoint the most set apart. So listen, there's going to come a time when the vision and the prophecy is sealed up. So if we don't get it right now, we're not going to get it. It's going to be sealed up one day. And if you're not wise to be a watchman on the wall at the particular time, then you're going to be astonished. It's just going to come out of the woodwork. It's going to come, left field. It's going to come at you unawares. If you're not, focused and being a watchman on the wall, because inside of these 70 weeks, the second to the last thing that is to be accomplished and fulfilled is to seal up the vision and the prophecy. And after that,
I want to say something here, because and of course you guys, this is just a conversation that we're having. We are discussing this morning the 70 weeks. We're breaking down Daniel 9, but it is just a standard conversation. But one thing I want to say is, as I've been looking over the past several years of my life as an adult, I remember looking back and hearing parents and grandparents say, oh, these are the end times. This is the end times. And it has been. But let me tell you, the more I see people running in fear, the more I get excited. The more I see all the fear that they're throwing, everything is fear, 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 fear. They are literally shrouding this awesome time to be alive in fear. If you understand who you are supposed to be hidden in, if you are hidden in who you're supposed to be hidden in, you don't need to have any of that fear. Don't walk around in that fear. Remember, at the very top of the hour, I broke down as I was going to read about apocalypse, the word apocalypse. Everybody thinks, oh, it's this terrible, terrible thing. When it really, in essence, only means in the Greek in which it comes from, it only means revealed, unveiling. Here go that truth. Here you go. There you go. That's what it means. It means unveiling. So what I'm trying to say is, I truly and honestly believe that we collectively as a species, we've been here before. We've had to begin the beginning of the beginning of the beginning again and again and again. And so once we understand, Leaf Desi, good morning. Once we understand that what we're experiencing is the end of the age that we're in, going into another age, you'll understand that this has had to happen in order for us to even be. So we don't fear. We don't fear it, but we definitely need to understand it before we miss something. Does that make sense? We need to understand it before we miss something. And oh boy, we don't want to walk around in all of this heaviness when we need to be watchers on the wall, watchmen on the wall. We need to be looking out, checking out what's going on. And these are important times. And this is exciting. Listen, we just got through, for those of you who are coming in, we just got through looking at the correlation between, or a part of the correlation between the green comet that is going to be very visible. It's visible right now in certain areas. It was at its best here, I believe it said in the States on the 12th of January. But the deal is that all of these little pieces go together. And what Ronnie is doing this morning is he's bringing all of that together to show us what the 70 weeks is and what it isn't. So Ronnie, go ahead. I'm going to say hello to a few people. Jamie Sawyer, hello. Hello, Leaf Desi, 40 Boom, Rage Against the Machine. I love that name. And Solemn Peace. Hi to all of you. Little Podcast, how are you today? It's good to see you. Welcome here, sir. Mama Carol, hi to you. Everybody that has visited and joining us this morning, I want to thank you for being here. You could have been someplace else. But before you go, if you decide you do want to go somewhere else, will you do us a big favor and hit that like button? It would help us out so much. I would truly appreciate it. And if you have the ability to share on your channel, would you please share this? The teachings of 70 weeks has been discussed on so many different platforms, but I don't think you're going to hear it this way. Ronnie, I'm going to go ahead and give you the mic, but I'm still here. And again, thank you to everybody.
You're definitely not going to hear it quite like this because this is the thing. We have to, at least for right now, while we're all hanging out together, just discard, just even if you don't discard it, just take off what we think that we know and just place it to the side momentarily, because in actuality, the teachings that we have learned as far as the 70 weeks has pigeonholed us into a certain box that we can't get out of. And I'll give you a case in point. Verse 25 in Daniel 9 says, "Know therefore and understand," reading the King James Version, "that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again and the wall, even in troublous times." So it says that there's a commandment to restore that goes forth to restore and build Jerusalem up into the Messiah the Prince, and that'll be 7 weeks, 62 weeks. So the Messiah, we have been taught time and time again. It's been drilled into our head that this Messiah is Yahushua when he was born, 2,000 years ago. So that is that is a staple. That is a pin on the timeline that cannot be moved. But he's not talking about Messiah, Yahushua Mashiach. He's not talking about, there are many Messiahs in scripture. There are many Messiahs.
Thank you for saying that. I want to thank you for saying that, because that is the truth. Go ahead.
There are many. King David is a Messiah. You even have Gentiles who are Messiahs. Cyrus, King Cyrus, he was a Messiah. And like, and he's
Well,
not even a Hebrew.
Masha
He's
yeah,
Mashiach. He's a
Masha,
Mashiach.
Masha, yeah.
Um, so Mashiach, Messiah, the Mashiach. You have the Mashiach, and of course, we're talking about Yahweh Shah. That's the Mashiach, the premier, the King of Kings, what quote unquote Lord of Lords, if you will, the one who sits on the throne, the Lamb of Elohim.
Mhm.
Of course, definitely, but Mashiach, the word in and of itself means the anointed or anointed one,
Correct.
and so anybody who was anointed as a king inadvertently is Mashiach. Anyone who is anointed as his child inadvertently is Mashiach. So we do ourselves a disservice when we look when we um what
What?
I don't know, concrete ourselves, like plant ourselves into reading the English and looking at all these capitalized words and what's lowercase, what's uppercase, things like that, because there's no lowercase or uppercase in the Hebrew language. So when they translated it, they decided which words they're going to use to be capitalized and not be capitalized. They even decided which word to use as far as the translation, because one word that's translated one way is the same word in the Hebrew, but it's translated into the English another way in another verse, or 8 different verses, on occasion. So like we can't I'll use the term pigeonhole ourselves into just focusing on the English and thinking that we only have a piece, because we're going to lose sight. We're going to lose something in the translation. So
Exactly. Hello,
so
Amy.
so look, therefore know and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks. So look, what what I'm telling you is that these weeks, these are shabuas, these are shabuas in the Hebrew. These are time frames. These are whole completed time frames, because like in the English concept, the week is a 7-day period, and a 7-day period, Hebraically is a completed event. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a week. When we're talking about in the prophetic, these are jubilees. So these 7 weeks are 750 years.
50 years this is. But you know what? I mean, this is basically what we were just saying when we took that small break. And that is that you have to understand the way that things are written in its context. You cannot take something that's written from, I'll be as I'll be as fair. Let's just fumble around with Greek. Okay, I'm not going to go to the Hebrew because it's a given, right? But if there's something in Greek and you're trying to pull it into your, if it was something that happened in ancient Greece and you're pulling it in today's mindset, it is not going to have the truth base that it needs to have. It's not going to be what you're looking for. You're going to accept it in your day and time right now, but you're going to lose a lot in the translation if you're not honing in on the time and the context and the culture. So now when we look at the 70 weekses or the 50 weekses or however you said it, the weekses, it has to be, it has to go, you got to go back to that time frame. You have to. Whenever you're even looking at any of the prophetic teachings or any of the prophetic scenes or what Daniel may have seen or what this one may have seen, you have to understand that they are telling you based on what they know at that moment. If you see a chariot, for us, that could be a spaceship, that could be a shuttle, that could be a that could be a boat, that could be that could be a car. Whatever it is for you in that time frame, you're going to say, and I thought I saw something that looked like this. but he only has that to pinpoint it to. I hope I'm making sense.
Right,
I
right,
hope I'm making sense.
right. Like in Revelation it talks about the locusts, that its wings are, like many thunders when they fly. If we move forward into the 20th century, we could, if we had that same vision, we could say, oh yeah, there was some helicopters in the sky. I mean, a flying if he saw a helicopter, I'm just using for example.
Yeah, but it would look like
in
that.
his vision, if he saw helicopters, he wouldn't know that they were helicopters. He doesn't have that terminology, but they are huge flying locusts, and their wings sound like thunder. That sounds like a helicopter to me,
Sounds like a helicopter to me.
Or it could. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm just saying, it could be, and that's a good example to the point that you're trying to make.
No, yeah, I think that's exactly it. So that's why I really do want everybody to shed off everything you thought you knew, and please take it all off, take all of, and that way you can consider. And while you're considering it, you just might stumble upon truth. Aha. Aha.
So am I sharing?
No, but you can. Here you go. You sharing now. Go.
Okay, so I'm at Daniel 9 and I'm looking at verse 25. It says, Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem. Let's just pause right there. So there's a commandment that went forth to restore and build Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to say it again. So far, there's a commandment that went forth to restore Jerusalem. When is this? Scholarly or maybe even biblical definitely biblical scholars and theologians will tell you, oh yeah, that was the decree of Cyrus, in the 500s BC. In the 500s BC, that was the decree of Cyrus. But the math doesn't add up, because this happens after 69 weeks. This happens, or I should say, from the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem up into the Messiah. If Messiah happened 2,000 years ago, at Gregorian calendar, year zero, then from 500 BC to year zero, you only have a 500-year window for 69 weeks to be accomplished. 62 and 7 weeks. Yeah. So 62 weeks is what? Is 62 weeks and 7 weeks. So 7 weeks and 62 weeks is a total of 69 weeks. So from 500 BC to quote unquote zero, the year zero, is 500 years, and 69 weeks has been squashed into that time frame. And then the prophecy is for 70 weeks. So a whole entire week is taking 2,000 years.
Wow.
Something's not adding up. Something's not adding up. But if you understand that these weeks right here are Shabuas, then these are time frames. These are jubilees. These are 50-year these are groupings of 50 years. These are jubilees. So you have 7 of them. So 7 times 50 right here is 350. So 350 years. So from the commandment, from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 350 years. So what's interestingly enough is that from the time that Moses took his people out of Egypt up until King David took the throne in Israel, just happened to be 350 years, which just happens to be 7 weeks if you're looking at these weeks as jubilees. So that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Very telling.
Yes. So look. This is the thing. It's we get confused because we're reading the English and it says to restore and build. So that must mean that we have to restore it. But that word right there in the Hebrew does not does not mean restore. So we have to break down these words to really understand what's going on. And the reason we have to scrutinize the text is because this text is telling us the main event at the end of times. Don't you want to know? Don't you want to figure it out? And don't you want to be that watchman on the wall that declares and lets everybody know, what's going on, so we can all be prepared? Because the book of Daniel also says that those who have understanding and lead many to righteousness will shine like the stars in heaven forever. So we definitely want to be that. But look, this is that verse. This is verse 25 in the interlinear. It says, therefore know and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore, this word here is hashayab, or in modern Hebrew, hashib. So, ironically, I have the fastest internet service available, and it's super slow right now. That's so
it always does that whenever you're teaching.
But check this out. This means to turn back and to return. This is the root word from where we get the concept of repentance from. Shub, shawab in the ancient tongue. So so we're turning back. We're not restoring. We're turning back. So let's get that concept. You see it right here. It says to turn back, to return. Shub, shawab. So it says, therefore, know and understand that from the going of the command to turn back and to build Jerusalem. So when was the command to go build Jerusalem? That was when Yah gave Moshe the command to go get his people out of Egypt and go to the promised land. That's when that was. But you could argue, okay, they've never been there before, so how are they turning back and going back? But we have to understand that we're children of Abraham. We're children of Abraham. I hope you're following, and with this slow.
No, we're fine. I'm looking for I'm with you.
So if anyone's following along and wants to go there ahead of me, since I have the slowest internet connection at the moment, Genesis 13. Man, that'll be kind of, I got it now, but that'll be kind of awesome. But in Genesis 13, you can pull it up, please. Genesis 13. So look, in Genesis 13, Abraham is like forging a covenant with Yah. They're having a conversation. He's like, I'm gonna make your inheritance. I'm gonna make your offspring like the sands of the sea and the stars of the sky. Like it's gonna be a multitude that you can't even count. And he's like, I don't even have an heir. What are you talking about? And the heir that I do have isn't even of my own flesh and blood. And he's like, don't worry about. Yah's telling him, like, don't worry about all of that. I'm letting you know that you will have an inheritance on the earth. That is an innumerable number. And he forges this. Are you pulling it up? Okay, so go down to maybe 10-ish.
Genesis 13, 10-ish.
Yeah, 10-ish.
10-ish, like Jew-ish. Like it's an ish, because it ain't.
All right, so look, okay, that's cool. So him and Lot, they got too big for their britches, but both of them were waxing rich, and he's like, hey, we're bumping heads here, so pick a spot and go and go squat. And then so Lot went and got the nice plush land over there in Sodom, and he said, I want that land. He said, okay, go ahead, and this is Abram saying, go ahead and you can have that. And then what Abram ended up doing was staying where he was And it says in verse 12, it says, Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities and the plains and pitched his tent towards Sodom. Go down to the last paragraph. And what it says is that he renewed the go down, continue to go down. So look, it says he renews the covenant with him, and he said, and this is what Yah says to Abram. It says that after Lot separated from him, lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are. Look northward and southward and eastward and westward, for all the land that you see, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed forever. And then he says in 17, he says, arise and walk through the land and the length of it and the breadth of it, and I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent, and then he came to dwell in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron. So understand this. If you look on a map where Hebron is, that is like not even 50 miles from the city of the modern day Jerusalem. So he was planted smack in the middle of the promised land. And he's saying, look up, look north, look south, look east, look west, anywhere from your that your eyes can see, all of this will be yours and your inheritance forevermore. So we're Abraham's seed. We are, partakers in the inheritance that was promised to Abraham. So when he says return, in Daniel 9, when he's telling us that the commandment was ushered forth to return and build Jerusalem, that was Yah telling Moses to get the people and return back to the land that he promised Abraham, and there build my set apart city. And that happened 3,500 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Jubilees wise, 70 weeks, each week being a grouping of 50 years, happens to be 3,500 years ago from today, which means that we are either in the end of the 70, forgive me, that we are either in the end of the 69th week of Daniel's prophecy, or we are literally in the beginning of the 70th week.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're in the 70th week, we know that at the end of Daniel 9, it tells us that week is broken up in half. So if the weeks are groupings of 50 years, then half of that week is 25 years each. And we know at the midway point, literally all hell breaks loose on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're at the beginning of the 70th week, we literally have somewhere around 25 years before all hell breaks loose on earth.
Wow, Ronnie.
Please understand what I'm saying. Please understand the magnitude of the thing that I just pronounced.
Out my mouth.
I can't wrap my mind around that concept because I'm a type of person, I don't want to put no dates on things like that.
Correct.
That's
well, you don't want to do that. Yeah.
Don't do that. But when you do the math and you're looking at it from the Hebraic aspect, in which that's how you should be looking at it, it adds up. And we are here. We are here. And this is what I'm saying. He said that he will be with us until the end of the age. We're leaving, everything is merging in a huge mega convergence all at the same time. We're leaving Pisces. We're entering Aquarius. There's a comet in the sky right now that doesn't come around for every 50,000 years. and that was two. So that was two, constellation cycles ago, which on that macro scale puts us at the third day. Like, it's just so many nuances that lets you know that we are here. And listen, like you said, your grandmama said that we're here. Your great grandmama said that we're here. Your mama said that oh, we're in the last days. But what this suggests is that not only are we in the last day, like the last days aren't upon us. We are literally, we're looking at it. It's here. Open up your eyes and see, and it's all
This
around
is
us.
it.
We're
Yeah.
here. We are here. And then look at the turmoil and the controversy and the angst, of the day. I mean, I don't know how many people actually want to turn on any news source, but if you do so at any given moment, it's just ridiculousness consistently, continuously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything is converging at this grand juncture. And go back to Dan. Let me go back there.
Go back where?
I'm going to screen share Daniel again. Daniel.
Okay. Okay. You're going to try it again. Take a stab at it. Thank you all for pulling up and watching. If you've not already done so, please remember to hit that like button. And if you've the ability to share on any of your social media, as well as here within YouTube, please do so. Don't forget to double check that you are still subscribed to the channel and that you still do get the notifications for every time we go live. That would be an awesome thing to do.
And
so I'm sharing your screen now.
Okay, so once again, like you said earlier, this isn't an in-depth, study. This is just a conversation to bring forth some information, because you've put aside, you've sat it nice and neatly next to you, all the things that we've already learned and what we think we know, and we're just having the conversation of of a Hebraic aspect of how we could be looking at this. And when you look at it this way, the numbers absolutely match up with everything, with anything, with it all, with everything. And third, so what's interesting enough is it tells you, and it says, therefore know and understand that from the going forth of the command to turn and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, this is King David, there will be 7 weeks. And from the time of Moses to the time of David happened to be 350 years. And 7 weeks, 7 times 50 is 350. That's 350 years. It just happens to coincide. Just happens to. And then 62 weeks again to that's when we will begin to build. And it says the street and the wall, right? But that's not what it says in the Hebrew. This word right here, let's just go word for word. This says to build, or to rebuild, or to establish, or to cause to continue. Okay, so it's a people that's being rebuilt, because it says street, right? But look, can you see it? Let me just click on it. It's from this word rakab. This is the exact this was the woman on the wall. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. So remember at Jericho, the wall of Jericho, how Rahab was on the wall, and she let the quote unquote spies in. That's Rahab. In the Hebrew, it's rakab. This is rakab, and what it literally means is a broad open place. And then it says from the word origin rakab. We'll click on that so you can see it. It means to grow, or be wide, or made large. So it's enlarging. It's an enlarging. So it's not a wall. What he's saying is we're going to rebuild and enlarge after the 69th week. And who? Yah's people. Yah's people have been scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth. And after the 69th week, we're going to snap out of the daze, out of the drunken stupor that we've been in, drunk off the wine of the world, and we're going to realize, oh my goodness, I am Yah's child and I'm acting like a heathen. And we're going to snap out of it, and we're going to grow, and we're going to enlarge. And it says right here, it says the street, and then it says the wall, right? That word, is it the wall? Let's look to see. So, I'm clicking on it, but I have the
It's
world's
not
slowest
working.
internet at the moment. But yeah, this word wall is to be sharp and diligent. It's not a wall. You can't rely on the English translation. You lose something in it. This word
Wow.
means to be sharp and to be diligent. Do you
Huh.
see that? Sharp and diligent.
Uh,
If you see my cursor,
I see
and
it.
then
No,
and then
I'm
you
reading
see
it.
you
I
see
see
that
it.
weird word.
Yeah.
It's a cursor, but nonetheless, sharp and diligent. That's what this word means. But they translated it in the English as wall. So what it's saying is that his people are going to grow wide and large and expand, and they're going to be sharp and diligent in the 69th week. That's what it's really saying. And this is going to happen in troublesome times. So we really have to understand what the Hebrew is saying and scratch what the English is. The English is like a springboard to, it's like it's the kiddie pool. The English is the kiddie pool to get our feet wet. And then we have to, and then we're in the 3 feet, we're in the deep end of the kiddie pool thinking that we're deep.
Exactly.
But okay, yeah, you are deep. Don't get me wrong. You're in the 3 foot, deep end, but you're in the kiddie pool. So we have to
Mhm.
get out the kiddie pool and then get into, and pull off the childish ways, get off of the milk, and then get into some meat and start eating these nice chunks of delicious steak that the Hebrew has to offer for us, because this is the thing. It's written in this language, and the whole purpose of it is to withstand the test of time, to be available to his people in the end times, so we can snap out of our stupor and then get ourselves prepared for the kingdom, because this is the message, and this is the gospel. If you think about it, this is the real gospel, and that is repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Yahweh Shah said it time and time again. He said, you are healed, now go and sin no more. And he told us to repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That is the gospel. And this is what we're supposed to do. And when we get out of the kiddie pool, we can begin to see this. I mean, we just saw it. It says to build, his people are being built. And we're going to grow wide and great. And we're going to be sharp and diligent, even in troublesome times, after the 62 weeks. And then 7 plus 62 is 69. So after the 69th week, this is when we will begin to snap out of it as a people. And again, our Yah's people have been scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth. And if you look, you can see, if you go into the historical account, you could see where his people are scattered throughout the corners of the 4 corners of the earth.
Yes, absolutely.
And you can begin to see who his people are in the Americas, if you follow suit. But if you drink the Kool-Aid, you'll just think, okay, yeah, we're having it's Columbus Day, yay, a holiday, federal holiday, I'm getting paid. But if you really understand that, why are we celebrating Columbus Day, first of all? And then second of all, what is in 1492, the Spaniards signed a decree to expel all Hebrews out of the land.
True.
That's how that whole thing jumped off. And it said, I'm going to give you, you can pull it up. You can pull it up.
Put them all out. That's right. Yeah. No, they were all out.
Decree. So you can pull that up. But but nonetheless, like, he gave them a certain time to either convert to Christianity. And when I say he, I'm talking about the crown
Hmm.
of what was Castile, what is
Historically,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
the kingdom of Spain, which is Spain now or what have you, but Castile and
Hmm.
and that whole region. Um, what do they do? They said, hey, I'm going to give you a certain amount of time to either convert to Christianity or you're getting the boot and you're expelled from the country entirely. So a
Hmm.
lot of people fled because what happened right after that? It was decreed that this in what is termed historically the Spanish Inquisition. That's what became of it. So in 1492, people bailed out, people left, and then a lot of them ended up migrating down into North Africa, where they weren't welcome because they were, that's not their land and they're nomads. And they wanted to build a southern wall and keep the people out. All these people that are coming in that aren't native to our land, and they treated them like aliens. Because in fact they were aliens, and aliens in the sense of not of this particular country, but they ended up being sold and ended up coming over here, and after 200 years later they ended up coming over here into the Americas. And you have to follow the chain. These are in history calls them the Sephardic Jews. But
Yes.
do your research. Who are the Sephardic Jews? Who are they? And then if you stop if you just look at the surface, they're going to tell you, oh, those are the Jews of the of Spain. But where did they come from? And then when they got expelled, where did they go? So what I'm saying is, a lot of them ended up in the Americas as slaves by way of that whole thing when the decree that was made by Spain in 1492 to expel the quote unquote Jews, the Hebrews. And what I'm getting at is like that started in 14. So hold on, let me go to this next verse in verse 26. That
Uh-huh.
started in 1492, and then 100 years later into the 1600s, they started this great migration of people getting sold into slavery. And Africans were selling Africans, but these weren't average Africans. These were
Well,
people
no,
that
they're more Arabians. They're more Arabs.
they came from the expulsion of Spain 100 years ago. They were the dare I say it, they were the Mexicans of America that crossed over the border illegally. Basically, that's who they
In
were.
in essence, if you could contrast in comparison,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Contrast and comparison. Scratch this out. Scratch that portion out if you need to. But I mean,
No,
just
I mean it's a
contrast and
conversation. That's
comparison.
all we're
Right,
doing. We're
right.
just having a conversation.
Yeah,
We can't
but
scratch
but
out nothing in a conversation.
yeah, but I'm not saying that that's exactly who they were. But as far as the allegory, if you will, the simile, if you will. So it says that after these 62 weeks, that Mashiach will be cut off. Once again, they're not talking about, and people say, oh, well, that's what happened. He got cut off. He got cut, Jesus got cut off at Calvary. That's when he died. It says, but not for himself and the city. But when you look at the Hebrew, it's telling you that he got cut off who Mashiach. And and this says in the city and the sanctuary, right? But let's look at that word. Excitement. The word is excitement.
Wow, excitement.
Ayar, 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 ayar. Right here.
Literally means excitement. The
Ayar.
definition is
But and then,
excitement.
and then they say city. They say city, and I guess you could say a city is exciting or what have you. So that inadvertently you can translate it like that. But that word doesn't necessarily mean city. What it actually means first and foremost is excitement, like frenzy. Frenzy.
Man, is it like mayhem?
Okay, you can do that. You can do that. You can say that, but something to that effect. And this word here is hakadash. That is the set apart ones. That's what the English calls holy. Hakadash, holy, and they translated it as sanctuary. And I could see how they could, because the sanctuary is quote unquote, the sanctuary is kadash, but this word isn't sanctuary, it means kadash. So what it's saying is that the Messiah is cut off after the 62 weeks, and it says, but not. And this word himself, look, there's not even a number above this word. You see it? They added this word into the text. This word isn't even here. There's no number to let you know what this word is in the
Wow.
text. This because it's not there in the text. So they just add this whole thing in that doesn't even belong. It says cut off Messiah, but and then it says not and not. That's not but. That word, that wa, means and. It's a conjunction that means and not, the frenzy of frenzy, excitement, whatever, of the set apart people, the set apart ones. And it says the people of the prince to come, who is to come. That's the world. That's the when we go into in the book of Daniel, we see that he had a vision, and there's a ram and there's a goat, and then the ram defeats the goat, and then the ram has has a horn, then it's four horns that come up, and then there's a little horn that comes up, and then that little horn is the nation, or the power, the governmental power, the authority that is in play in the last days. So the people of the prince that is to come, that's that group of people. They're going to come and destroy, look, not the sanctuary, but the set apart ones. The set apart ones. After the 62 weeks. So listen, when you do the math on 62 weeks, and these weeks are 50 year intervals, or 50 years each.
Okay.
So 62 weeks times 50, 62 times 50 is 3,100. Is 3,100.
That's right. It is.
So 3,100 years from when Moses brought his people out on the Gregorian timeline, if we're calculating up, goes to the 1600s. We end up at the 1600s.
Wow.
400 years ago.
Wow.
Because these 62 weeks, but we already see in verse 25 that there's also a 7, so it's 69 weeks. So it's 69 weeks. So pardon me, it ends up to be 3,100 years. And that is what? The 16, that was 400 years ago. The 1600s. That's when the Sephardic Jews, quote unquote Sephardic Jews. I don't want to say
right,
because that's more like a label, because the Western culture and the Western mindset has to put a label on everything.
So many different labels and things that cause so much confusion. Yeah.
But the ones that got caught up in the exile,
yeah,
that happened in Spain 100 years prior in the 1492. 100 years and some change in 1492, they ended up, on the east coast of Africa, in places like Morocco and Portugal and Angola and Libya and all these places. Do your research, you'll see it. You'll see it, clearly even. And these are the places that were hot spots for the slave trade at that time. Portugal is like the number one perpetrator of slave. I shouldn't say number one, but as far as a handful of them, Portugal is inside of that handful.
Yeah, they have their hand in some slave mess.
So all of them were, capitalizing um on the stock, buy, sell, and trading of Yah's people. And Revelation tells you that. It says that the end time, they call it Mystery Babylon in the book of Revelation. It says that they buy, sell, and trade all of these goods, gold, silver, fine linen, purple, fragrances, frankincense, and then it says, and the souls of men. So they're buying, selling, and trading men. Like, this is
Yes.
literally a thing that this end time system has done. This end time world government has done, and we're seeing it. We've seen it played out. We've read it in the history books. We're on the tail end of it, looking at it in hindsight. But it's like it's not far in the past. It's like super recent past in the scheme of things, and we're still in the throes of the the psychological after effects of everything, and everything is culminating to an end at this juncture. And so this Messiah right here that has been cut off, that's Yah's people, because Messiah means anointed one. And so these are and so when you look at the Sephardic Jews, the quote unquote what they label as Sephardic Jews, when you look at them in Obadiah chapter 1, it tells you that the captives of Judah, listen carefully, the captives of Judah end up in Sepharad. Sepharad, that's the Hebrew, that's the Hebrew for Spain, the land of Spain.
Wow.
This is in Obadiah chapter 1. It says the captives of the Jews end up in Sepharad. And Sephardi, like that's the same exact word. And so what I'm telling you is that's the southern kingdom of Judah.
There it is. The vision of Obadiah is on the screen right now.
Okay. Go to like verse 20. Go like to verse 20-ish.
Okay, let me go to 20-ish.
20. Try 20 and read it.
Ish.
Read it aloud.
Okay. Alrighty, and the captivity of this host of the children of Yasharal shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath.
Okay.
And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south. Verse 21.
Okay. So this is a prophecy. No, that's it right there. Okay. So what did it say? Where's Jerusalem? Jerusalem is in the southern kingdom of Judah. Jerusalem is the capital of the southern kingdom of Judah. These are the Judeans. These are the Judeans, which is the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and a piece of, a lot of the tribes of a lot of the priests, the Levitical priests. So these people were captives and were sent in captivity to Sepharad. Sepharad is what we call Spain today. So those are the people that were expelled in 1492. So we're literally talking about the tribe of Judah here. Okay, listen, we're literally talking about the tribe of Judah, which is the tribe that Mashiach comes from. That is the anointed tribe, the tribe that's King David's people.
Correct. It is correct. Yeah.
That's the anointed tribe, the one who ushers forth the king. And it says that these people, will be cut off. It doesn't say these people. It says Mashiach will be cut off, but this is what it's speaking on, because this is in the 62nd week, and that 62nd week was 400 years ago when they started importing them in to America through the slave trade, and these people got cut off. They no longer know who they are. They have no idea who they are, and were scattered out throughout the four corners of the earth. And I'm telling you, put down the paradigm of the westernized, it's really a philosophy, but the teachings that we've been taught and just set it to the side and really consider what's being said here, because these are the facts and it lines up with scripture perfectly. And I let you know when it's my opinion, or when I'm speculating, but these things are historical. Like what I'm telling you is historical, and
Right. And that's the stuff that,
Bible, the
but you know
Bible corroborates it.
But you know what? The things that are historical are the things that I like when I'm doing my studies of any type. I love the historic piece because it lets me know what was going on in the climate, what was going on at that time, who was in control, who was the king, or who was this or that. That's really the only way that you. Well, first of all, you have to be led by the Ruach Hakodesh, right? You have to be led by the Ruach. The Spirit has to lead you, especially when you're thirsty and you want to know. But then you take that leading and then you take your earnest desire to know. I believe that he takes that, our Father, Yah takes that. But I believe he takes that, he adds that to what it is that we're doing. And then we take the historic piece and it matches to the word. The amazing part about it is when you know that you've hit that vein and it's nothing but truth flowing out, you know it. When you know you've arriven or you've arrived at that place you were trying to get, you know it. And I know everybody here in the chat has experienced that in one way or another in their life, that when you get to it, you know this is it. Whether you're a mechanic and you were trying to figure out the issue, then when you get to the issue, you know that it's fixed. That's how I feel when I study. When I'm looking into things, I have to have that historical piece. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I have to
Yep.
have the
Goes
history.
hand in
That's the
hand.
way. But you remember last year, about a year or so ago, when I was doing that whole study and when I did the thing on Ezekiel, where I had gotten that word, everybody is checking for this one, they're checking for that one, but ain't nobody checking for Ezekiel. And then when we got down into Ezekiel and I started to juxtapose that to Paul, I came upon some nuggets that
Mhm.
substantiated some of the feelings that I had been having and wondering why I had this standoffishness about X, Y, or Z. That's how I felt when I found that. When I found all of that information. So it's just something about when you know, because you ain't stupid. When you know, you know. When you feel it, when you know it's real, and you can give historical pieces, biblical concepts, biblical the word, and all these other things, and then also making sure that you keep all things in order, decently and in order. You must do it in context of the time and the
Exactly.
people's
And
what is it called? Culture, the individual's culture in which
and
they are speaking from.
you're right. You're right. And the thing about it is, people take the context and either take it out of context when they're teaching, or they recontextualize the whole entire concept, and they give you something totally different. But it sounds cool, and
Yeah,
it
and then a
sounds
lot of
like it
times it's
possibly
to fit.
works.
Yeah, it's to fit the narrative of the moment. It's to fit the narrative of whatever it is they're sharing at that time. Whatever it
But
is they're
so
dealing with,
listen.
they wrap it around that.
So
See, there
Dan,
you
so
go.
Dan, like we're only focused on two verses in Daniel right now, in one chapter of Daniel, just two verses. But Daniel tells us that end time um conglomerate, the end time world uh world order, the end time world order has casted truth down to the ground.
Well, Steve has a question for clarification. He said 62 or 69. You've said both,
Yeah,
Ronnie. It's important.
yeah. I did, and yeah, I heard that when I fumbled the ball. Um,
You
but real
can't be
quick,
Chuck Muncie in here. You can't be Chuck Muncie. If you guys don't know who Chuck Muncie is, you too young to be over here. But if you can't be Chuck Muncie in here, can't be fumbling. I think he wants to know which one it is.
no, but really quick though, shout out to Steve Willis. But the I said 69, yes, I did, but it's 62. 62 times 50 is 3,100 years. Because now what we're talking about is that 62 is after in that 60-second uh after that 60-second week, but we already have 7 weeks also, but we're definitely just talking about that the 60-second week.
I did your
So
math, yeah, while you were talking, because I have it pulled up on my computer. Yeah, it was 62 times 50. Yeah,
right,
that's what you
right, right.
said.
So
Yeah.
400 years later is 35. It's 35. Well, 3,500. It's
Okay.
3,500.
So tell
Pardon me.
us the significance of
3,500
that again for
years.
everybody who's coming in or watching on the replay. Touch that for us, that 3,500.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
mean, listen. Even this has been a point of contention, in the dialogue, in the American mainstream dialogue, even when they said, 2019 was the 400th year of slavery in America, and they commemorated it. They made a huge deal and a huge fuss about it. But the thing is, the powers that be has put a stamp on that time. Like they put their stamp of approval on it. Like they recognize it. Um, uh, Legally, like actually, like it's on record that quote unquote 2019 was the 400th anniversary of slavery in America, what have you, and so that puts it back to 1619 and 62 weeks.
Okay, so
300.
I see you're using this historic timeline. Yes, and isn't that the same year that I think the president, was it President Trump, acknowledged? Okay, okay, and
Right,
that was
and because
significant.
now all of a sudden, I mean, amongst the black community, Juneteenth has been a thing, since Juneteenth. But as far as nationally recognized or mainstream, or recognized on a mainstream level, like
Oh,
Juneteenth
wait
is
a minute. Let
actually
me
now
say
a
this.
federal
Let me
holiday.
let me speak as it relates to that because I need to make sure that because I don't agree with the whole Juneteenth thing because I know that it was no validity. It's nothing real. It was something that was a farce. However, it does line up to something else. They're telling people that it's this, but it's really something else. They always like to do that. So now let me just say this. I really honestly want to I'm going to give you I'm going to give you the autonomy to just go on ahead and lay it out. Give us what you got. I'm going to step back. I'm not going to bug you again. I'm not going to interject, but I do want you to lay it out, okay? And give it to us the 70 weeks because we see the timeline. Take your time and just take the timeline and break it down and give it to us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So as far as the 3,100 years from Moses bringing his people out of Egypt, under the authority of Yah himself, 31, fast forwarding 3,100 years later, we end up on the Gregorian, 17th century, in the 1600s. We end up in the 1600s. So then after, what is this, Daniel? We're in Daniel 9, and I think we're in verse 26. So when we get to verse 27, like there is a last 7 weeks. There's a last 7 weeks. So can you pull up Daniel 9 one more time?
Yes, I can. Let me give it to you. Hold on. So, Daniel 9, here we are. Thank you guys. I want you guys to please remember to subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you are, please share it out. Okay, Daniel 9. Daniel
Okay.
9. There you go.
Okay.
And you wanted King James, right?
Okay.
Got it. Daniel 9, King James. Hold up.
It doesn't matter.
All right, let me make sure I'm pulling it up. It doesn't seem to want to work with me. There it is. There we go. We got you now. Now we got you. All right, there you go. I'm so glad that you have arriven, Steve Willis. He says, I arrived a few minutes late. And for those of you guys who don't know, that's an inside joke for the house here. For all of us over on this side of the world at the Lockhart perspective, we're so glad that you have arriven.
Yeah, so maybe I can I can spy on yours because I don't know why out the you know
Go
you're
ahead
just
and
getting
spy your little
okay.
eye.
So
Spy
so
your
so
little eye.
so
What
scroll down
does?
to like verse 27. Scroll down to like
Okay, let
verse
me scroll
27.
down to 27.
So look, so if we're at the 62nd week, there's 8 weeks left, and then it talks about 7 weeks, and then it talks about this last week that is like, literally all hell breaking loose. So
Okay, there you go. There you go.
all right, so go up to 26 so we can land me back on where we stopped.
Okay, and
And
after
he's gonna
three score and 2 weeks shall Mashiach be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end. Oh, whoa, whoa. Hit me, got me. Oh, boy. Ha!
so look, so
Let me
look.
hold on. Let me digest this. Because I got a nice little chunk. Hallelujah. Okay. And after 62 weeks shall Mashiach be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. 27. And
No,
he
no, no.
shall.
Hold on.
Ooh,
So,
26
so
is juicy.
yeah. So look. So this is where we're at right now. We're either at the end of the 69th week and we are on the brink of the 70th week, or we have already crossed the threshold of being inside of the 70th week. So for clarity's sake, as far as Mr. Steve is concerned, because that was a good point, and I'm glad he caught me on that. 62 weeks in the 70-week prophecy, if the weeks are jubilees, which are groupings of 50 years each, then the 62nd week was 400 years ago. If that made, I hope that made
Oh, it
sense.
makes a lot of sense.
And I hope
I'm very, very fully aware with you now. I'm with you now.
the 62nd week was 400 years ago, and we are either at the end of the sixth. Like I'm talking about, like 5 seconds left in week 69, or we are like already in week
You
70.
mean it's been 400 years ago? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. So if you're really asking me, I think we have already entered into the 70th week. But I'm speculating. I don't. It's
And what do you base
it's
that on? What do you base that on?
the timeline. The reason why I'm skeptical is because I want to be skeptical, because I understand the implications of what I'm actually saying.
And then let me ask you this. I do want to play devil's advocate, because even though, I want to understand where it all fits in with regards to the whole entire calendar being switched up and changed. Because we're looking at, was Gregory around at that point? Were they using
Right,
Pope Gregory's timeline? What were we using then?
right. So who cares? So who cares about any man's timeline? If you're doing, if you're counting back 50-year intervals, it matches up with the amount of time that is given in Scripture. Even according to Ezekiel chapter 40, even
Well,
according to Ezekiel chapter.
what do we do with the whole 31 days, and knowing that there was no more than 30 days
Yeah, but who
on the
cares?
biblical,
It's irrelevant.
okay.
That I, I I don't really know how to tell you to detach your mindset from a man-made calendar, except for just to do it. Like
Okay, wait a minute now, because you just answered my question. I get it. If you take it away from the whole man-made piece, it doesn't matter. You're looking at Yah's timeline, period.
right.
You're looking at
I'm looking
historical
at
time
jubilees,
to now. Got it.
because Yah counts everything in jubilees, because after every jubilee is a great emancipation, or a great redemption, or salvation, if you will, a reset even. So like everything is on the timetable is a grand jubilee. Even this, even the kingdom. The kingdom is a meta, or it's not a metaphor for a jubilee. It's like a huge jubilee. It's the jubilee of jubilees.
Right, right, right.
So look, so if the 62nd week was 400 years ago, based on the 62 times 50 being 3,100 years, then go, please, just bear with me. Go to Genesis 15. Go to Genesis 15, please.
Okay, going to Genesis 15. And before I do, I want to thank Deborah Cook for the Cash App. Thank you so very much for blessing my household. And you got a free song. Okay. Thank you so very much. So we're going to Genesis, and you said 13 again?
15, please. We just left 13.
We just left 13.
That let you know that he was already in Jerusalem. He was in Hebron. He was in Hebron, and he said, look north, look south, look east, look west. All of this is yours. And LeBron is literally in, or pardon me, I said LeBron. I'm sorry. Hebron is literally, basically Jerusalem is the land plot of modern day Jerusalem. So scroll down a little bit to maybe verse 15-ish. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. 17. It says in verse 16, it says, but in the fourth generation that shall come back hither, so scroll up a little bit. Let me read 15 after all. All right. So I'm gonna start at verse 14. So basically he's affirming, hey, nope, go up to 11. Go up to 11. Pardon me. So it says, and the fowls came up and the carcasses, he drove them all away. So he just made a covenant. He literally just entered into a covenant with Yah. That, his bloodline will receive this grand heavenly inheritance that's going to manifest itself in the natural here on earth. And then in verse 12, he falls into a deep slumber. And it says, and when the sun was going down, and I'm reading from the screen, so if you can scroll to where I can see the chunk of it. It says, and when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and afterward they will come out with great substance. And then he tells them, now go, rest in peace. And then it says in verse 16, but in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. This is a manifold. Wow. This is a manifold prophecy. He's telling them plainly. And see, this is the thing: the powers that be, the quote unquote powers that be, and the narrative will tell you. Scroll back up just a little bit to where we can see that paragraph, and really hone in on this concept. They'll tell you that, oh yeah, that 400 years that they were in bondage, that's when they were in the land of Egypt. But listen, they were not in the land of Egypt for 400 years. They were in the land of Egypt for approximately a little over 200 years. And a lot of that time they weren't afflicted. Like they were given, like Joseph came in and gave his father's descendants the land of Goshen. Nice, plush, the most nice, plush, awesome land. Because remember, Joseph became basically the Pharaoh of Egypt, and his people, his brothers came in during the famine, and at the end of it all, he gave them a huge plot of land inside of Egypt. And it's the land of the quote unquote land of Goshen or whatever, and they weren't afflicted the entire time, doing slave labor. It was only until later on, but they thrived for at least 100 years, maybe 150 years. They were only in bondage for maybe 80 years. And then the last 20, 40 years of it, that's when it got really, really harsh for them. So that is not the 400-year time of affliction where they are slaves in a land that they do not know. Furthermore, they know of the land of Egypt. They were there in the land of Egypt.
Now. That's right.
They were there in the land of Egypt. They know of the land of Egypt. This says, verse 13, I say unto you, Abram, know of a surety that your seed will be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. It says that they don't even know this land. But and it says that they will be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. But Joseph being the king of Egypt, being the Pharaoh, or being the authority, having the authority of Pharaoh and acting in the authority of Pharaoh, gave them the land. So that is their land. Goshen is their land. So it's not talking about this. Plus, they were only in that land for maybe, and I'm being generous, maybe 215 years. So this isn't the 400 years of affliction that they're going to serve a people. However, the 62nd week, when his people are cut off in the book of Daniel, chapter 9, was 400 years ago. And we're just now commemorating. I don't want to say celebrating. We're commemorating, quote unquote, 400 years of quote unquote slavery in quote unquote the Americas.
Correct.
If you get my quote unquotes. So, verse 14, and also that nation whom they will serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. So this is the thing. Right after this event, the nation that they serve, and I'm not saying this, the scriptures is basically literally clarifying that this is the Americas. This is or I should say the powers of the British colonies, the Western authorities, the Western civilization entirely. But the British, like, they colonized the whole world. So that whole thing is the nation, and it will be judged. Yah will judge this nation. And it says, and afterward they will come out with great substance. And then we just read in Obadiah chapter 1 where it says that his people come back from captivity and they're given this land, and they come back and they prosper. And if you continue to read, it tells you that the nations basically usher them in on a red carpet. So this whole thing, this whole thing is happening right now. So going back to Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, this is that 400-year interval, and that's in that 62nd week was 400 years ago. And here we are, either on the very tail end of the 69th week, or we're at the precipice if we haven't crossed the threshold of the 70th week. And so when we read in Daniel 9 verse 27, it tells you about the 70th week. It says, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice of the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he will make it desolate even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So when we look at it, it says that he causes the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. But once again, we get it confused and twisted when it comes to the English translation. The word right there, sacrifice, he doesn't cause the sacrifice. He does not cause the sacrifice to cease.
Okay, give it to us. You want me to click the interlinear?
Yeah, you can while I'm talking about it. So we hear teachings all day long where it says, see, that lets you know that there's that if there's sacrifices, then that means that there's another temple that has to be built before the end times, and this, that, and the other, because the sacrifices are back in, are back in play. but that's not what it says. The word there is it's a word that means continuity. You see
Okay.
sacrifice?
Hmm.
You see sacrifice?
Hold on.
You
Yes, I do. Zeba.
yeah, sabah. Sabah. So 2077, what does that say? No, yeah, the actual, yeah. Okay. So yeah, yes, please. All right, bear with me. Bear with me. Where is it in verse in chapter 11, right? In chapter 11 where it says, the when spoken of by Daniel, it says the abomination of desolations set up. Then okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you go to Daniel chapter 11? These are the sacrifices and the oblations. But in Daniel chapter 11 and verse 31, this very same thing that they're talking about, and this is where they set up the abomination of desolation. Are you pulling it up? Because I can't see.
Yeah, I have Daniel 11:31
Okay, so go.
in the inner land.
Okay, all right, and so what are you reading? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to read the the New International Version. It says, "His armed forces will rise up to desecrate the temple fortress and will abolish the daily sacrifice. Then they will set up the abomination that causes desolation." So this is what I mean when I'm saying that that there is an abolishment of the daily sacrifice. But when you look at the word, what it's telling you is something that is in perpetuity, whatever that is.
Can I say something though? I
Yes, please.
remember that being a different word in the Greek. I don't remember what we just clicked. It
Oh
just
well,
sort of
you mean in the
that
Hebrew?
didn't
Because it's
seem
not in
that
the
wasn't
Greek.
right.
It's not
I
in
know
the
I
Greek.
sound cuckoo, and I ask for apologies if I do, but I don't remember that being that in the Hebrew. I mean, I remember it being. I remember when I got to looking for the phrase that they used as sacrifice. I remember it being something else there. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, what? It says they shall take away the daily sacrifice. Now listen, this um phrase, or this term or whatever, is stated 3 different times in the book of Daniel. We just read one in Daniel 9. Now we're reading another one in Daniel 11, and then we see it again in Daniel 12. So, and it says something slightly different each time, but it's the same concept, but it just says something slightly different. So you could, you can be remembering any one of those 3, and then any one of the dozens of translations in the English.
Okay.
But look, if you can click on the interlinear, it's telling you right here that the abomination of desolation will be set up because they're going to abolish the daily sacrifice.
So do you want that 11:31? You want me to click somewhere specific there?
Right.
Okay, I'm here.
All right, you see how this daily sacrifices, now it's a whole different word. The other word was sabad, right? Sabad. Now this word is kamayad.
Okay, what number is that? What number is that?
That's 8. That's right in the red where it says the daily sacrifices, and it says sacrifices in parentheses. The reason why the word sacrifices is in parentheses because that word isn't there. Like they lead you into a train of thought. That word actually isn't there in the Hebrew. And what it means is something that is in perpetuity. Now we have to understand the entire book of Daniel in context. And what's the entire book of Daniel in context? What does he tell you that this end time beast system, if you will, what does he tell you that they think to do? That they think to change times and
Times and
laws.
laws.
Times and laws are the things that are always supposed to be continuous and always supposed to be perpetual. You know, the time, it always, you know, time keeps on ticking into the future. Like it continues. It's okay. I'm sorry, but it just, you know, it keeps on. It's on and on. But it keeps on going. It keeps on going. And into perpetuity, meaning forever and ever and ever and ever. And what are the things that are bound forever and ever and ever? You know, the laws and the covenant, the commitment to the law, and times. So what they do is they try to distort that. This is what they're distorting. This is what they're taking away. They're taking away, and they're giving you a Gregorian instead, and they're giving you a, you know, a pagan religious festival instead, things of that nature. And in its place, they're giving you the abomination of desolation. And then when it says, where it says in the place, do you see that right next to it? It says, and in its place, the abomination of desolation. That word there.
I got off on a little, you know how I get a little, I start to vacillate, and I click something else. So now I'm looking at Talmud, meaning continuity. So I sort of went a little cattywampus.
Okay. All right. So it says, and then in its place, they will, you know, they will, in some it says they will set up the abomination of desolation in its place, or they will put, you know, but that word there is the root word there is natan. It's the next word. Natan, that means that's a gift. That's something that somebody gives. It's not that they're placing anything, because if you put the word place there, it implies that they're putting it somewhere, and then the pulpit will explain to you that place that they're putting it, that's the temple. But it doesn't really imply that. What it's telling you is that they're giving you desolation in the place of whatever's supposed to be the continuity, whatever's supposed to be perpetual. So the thing that's supposed to be perpetual is laws and times and laws, and they're giving you something that is going to leave you desolate, and that something that is going to leave you desolate is an abomination.
Okay, I understand. Okay. So the abomination of desolation. Why do they use fortress here? Fortress. Okay. Then they shall take up away the daily and place.
So
got it.
Right. So they're going to take away the you know, whatever's supposed to be perpetual.
Wow. And so they're going to take away the law.
They're going to take away times and laws, and they're going to give you the bogus counterfeit. And so this is the thing that has already taken place.
Correct. Oh, wow.
Like for some of us, we do Sundays. And then for some of us, we do Saturdays. And then for some of us, we do Friday night to Saturday night. And then for some of us, we don't even do any of that.
And then for some of us, we're waiting for the moon.
Right. And then for some of us, it's January 19th, 2023. And, you know, but, you know, over in China, it's not January 19th. In Russia, it's not January 19th.
It's not. For us, it's not.
Right. But in the Americas, so like something that is continuous, like it's universal. It's universal. And we all have our own little pockets of what our time and our law is. And because you know, we have interpretation. Well, you know, what it means to me is that such and such and such and such. But it doesn't matter what it means to you. What does it actually really mean? Regardless of what it means to you, it literally means something.
But you know, that's the whole Western mindset right now. Is that's the way the world is going. It's whatever it means to you is what it is, and it's not. It's not daylight if it's nighttime. If it's nighttime, sister, brother, it's nighttime. So it's not daytime. Well, it's my truth. Well, your truth is embedded in lies. You a liar, and you lying. So when people say those things, I just sort of marvel. Yeah, it's my truth. It's what's to me. It's okay to me. you know, and
And
that's where
see
we
that,
are right now as a whole in the nation, in the world. It's all what's matter to
and,
you.
and that is a snare in and of itself, because your truth, like, what is the truth? What is the truth? And then the truth needs to be your truth, not just, well, this is my version of it. This is how I interpret. This is my take on it. It's like, what is it? And then whatever it is, we need to conform to it. And Daniel lets us know that we need to hurry up and conform to the truth, like very soon, basically, or else, because let me share Daniel 8, if I may.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
um I gotta figure out how to
Rage Against the
navigate.
Machine says, we may not know the precise minute, but we're extremely close.
And see, but look, we know when he's coming back. He's coming back at an appointed time. Daniel lets us know time and time again, over and over again, whatever is going to happen is going to happen at the appointed time. And then he says, and when it happens, it'll happen at the appointed time. He says it like 3-4 times back to back. And when we look at that, he's talking about a feast day. He literally is going to come back. He literally is going to come back at the Feast of Trumpets. And he's going to gather his people at the Feast of Tabernacles, because the Feast of Tabernacles is the Feast of Gathering. It's literally called the Feast of Ingathering. And that's the marriage supper of the Lamb. So he's coming at the Feast of Trumpets. Why do you think in Revelation there's all types of trumpets going off in the heavenlies? Because he's coming at the Feast of Trumpets. When a king comes, it's announced with trumpets.
All the time.
And men are mimicking, the heavenlies. That's that they know that that's what's going on in the heavenlies. So we do that, and that's why, that's what gives us a sense of pomp and circumstance. That's what gives us a sense of the authority that is vested in us, because we're mimicking the heavenlies. And they're blowing the trumpets because it's alluding very plainly that he's coming back at the Feast of Trumpets. But if we're stuck in a westernized mindset trying to understand scripture, where they don't teach us that, we're going to miss that entirely. We're going to miss all of that entirely. So if I'm sharing Daniel 8, it lets you know, I'm going to start reading in verse 9. Am I sharing? Can you see it?
Yeah, you're sharing. Make it a little bigger so everybody can see it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to give everybody the full screen once you make it bigger.
Okay. Is that big enough? Let's do that. Can you see?
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Yes.
All right, so look, starting this is Daniel chapter 8, and I'm starting in verse 9. It says, and out of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars of the ground. Pardon me. And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground, and it stamped upon them. So whatever this little horn is, I'm letting you know that's basically the Roman Empire. And then, everything that precedes the authority and the might that precedes, after it, that it births. And then verse 11 says, yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the hosts, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. Notice daily sacrifice, the word sacrifice is in italics. That's because that word is not present in the actual Hebrew.
Right, it's added in. Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So it says, yea, verse 11, yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. So over and over again, he lets you know. Then he tells you that he tramples truth to the ground. Like, so he has the ability, he has the power to trample truth to the ground. Look, verse 7. And I saw him come close unto the ram. This is the goat. And he came close to the ram, and he was moved with what? vile, like vicious anger, choler. Um, he was moved with choler against him and smote the ram and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground and stamped on him. And there was none that he could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore, the he goat waxed very great, and he was strong, and the great horn was broken, for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. So now we have this goat. It was a ram. It was exciting. And I think I said that in reverse earlier, so I apologize for that as well. But that's why you don't need to listen to any man. You just need to take the nuggets of what they're saying and go back and find for yourself these truths. These truths are valuable because a man might be genuine in what he's saying, but a slip of the tongue, or he said something sideways and didn't mean to.
Right. You got to study for yourself.
Right. Like when Mr. Steve asked me to correct and clarify, the double thing that I said. But certain things that are being said, you have to find these things out for yourself, but use the tools that you're learning. And I'm telling you, this is a tool for you to learn the deeper understandings, is to get past the English and find out what it's actually really saying. And then stop looking at it through the Western lens that we were born into, and look at it from, whatever perspective and whatever timeline that they were speaking in and speaking from. And then from there, we can get a greater perspective. And sometimes we have to do, some empathetic, like we have to dive deep to find out. If you don't know what the culture is, you got to dive a little bit deeper to find out what the culture is. And I think that we should utilize some energy to do that when we're seeking truth out of the Bible. So we have to understand that this is a Hebraic that these things are written from a Hebraic cultural lens, and so we need to immerse ourselves in that timeline, really understand, and then look around us. What's going on at that time that we're reading? Are the Assyrians the power of the world? The great powerful world leader? Are the Babylonians? Is it the Greeks at the time? And then always keep it in context, and we can begin to see certain things. But nonetheless, over and over again, he tells us that this thing is going to happen. See, look, for at the appointed time, the end shall be. He tells us over and over again, that it's an appointed time. So look, he tells you right here, the goat is Greece. The goat is Greece.
That's right.
The ram was the Medes and the Persians. He tells you right here, the goat is Greece. But look up here. He tells you that the goat waxed great. And when he was strong, the great horn, he had one horn sticking out of the middle of his head. But when the goat grew strong, which is Greece, that horn fell off, and in its place four notable ones toward the four winds of the heavens. So if you look at it from the historical aspect, who was the great king of Greece that conquered the whole entire world? That was Alexander the Great. And when he died, his four generals took over because he didn't have an heir to his throne. And his four general, and that's where the Ptolemaic era took over. So it says, it came up four notable ones. These are his four generals that divided his kingdom up. And then the Ptolemies took over, and then they ruled Egypt as pharaohs, and that's the Ptolemaic era of Egypt, so on and so forth. But when you look at history, you can kind of put things in its place to see what's going on in the grand scheme of things. Even if you can't fill in all the blanks, you can get you can find chunks of pieces to this puzzle. So look, at the end of the day, what I'm telling you is that these 70 weeks, the interpretation, I'm telling you, I can't believe I'm actually just like stating it instead of suggesting it, but I'm stating that these weeks are actually jubilees. When you line it up, you're not lining
I
it up
agree.
from
I
you're not
agree.
lining it up from King Cyrus. You're lining it up from when Yah called his people out, via the land of Egypt. So, like I said, 350 years later, or like the archives say as well, it just so happens to be 7 weeks, and that's when King David was thrown, was crowned and reigned on the throne, and then that's when the kingship went to the tribe of Judah from here on out, forever and ever.
Well, it looks like his internet finally gave up forever and ever. Hopefully, he'll be right back. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to look at this particular. I wanted to look at this scripture until Ronnie gets back. I'm sorry that he had some technical difficulties, but I think he was letting us know that as we were going along. This scripture in 2 Timothy 2:15, it does say to study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. I don't know whether many of you have listened to me say this before, but I had the father had given me a nice little chunk on this, and that was that my question to him was, why do you tell us to rightly divide truth? How can you? Why would you do that? And then I sat there and I thought about it, and I got a nice little deposit in my spirit. If you take what you have right now, those 66 books, as an example, right? We know there are far more books than that. We know who canonized those books and allowed us to have them, right? Because you're not able to get a hold of a lot of other stuff. But if you take that while seeking him in truth, you'll take those scriptures that you already know and you begin to parcel those out, study them, pull out the truth from the stuff you got. So what you got in your pot, you got to take that out the pot. You got to divide it out until you're coming up with more and more, until you're coming up with more truth. Does that make sense? You have to continuously pull out the truth from what you're already reading, from what you're already looking at. You got to study it. And then when you gain the truth, you get closer to him. Why? Because that's where he is. That's where he resides. That's what he's all about, is truth. He's all about truth. And so I appreciate each and every one of you all for hanging out with us today. It is a blessing to be with all of you. I want to thank Rage Against the Machine. You know what? I want to say I miss my brother, Steve Willis, the executive producer of this channel. I appreciate you. I love you, and I'm happy to see you here with us today. Joy Trujillo, thank you for being here. Rage Against the Machine. My mods, Daryl Calhoun, 40 Boom was here a little bit ago. Thank you guys, all of you all, for being here. We'll be back a little bit later today because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together some videos based on some of the context that he spoke of, the historical context. And I'm going to put that up as small little videos. So that way you can look at it. We're going to look at, I guess we'll do the Great Leap. We'll look at the 50 to 60,000 years ago where humans were on the brink of extinction. All right, we're going to do that. We're going to look at that part. We're going to look at a lot of other things that were mentioned today, and we'll just drop little 2 or 3 minute videos so that you have some nuggets that you can take to go and add to your study time. The links will be down below in the description once I, put it all together. But I appreciate you guys. You guys rock. Joy Trujillo, it's good to see you today, my friend. Disciple of the Mashiach, of the Messiah. Hello and welcome. I'm glad you're here. And Amy, I love my sister Amy. It's good to see y'all. Okay, you guys, I want you guys to remember what we always say on any Felicia Lockhart group publication, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. I also want to let you know that if we have more for Ronnie to finish, since his um, internet went down, we will pick up probably tomorrow morning or later this evening, because what I want you guys to hear was the culmination, the way that he delivered it to us while we were all talking together. So this is, it's going to be amazing. But nonetheless, I want you guys to remember to take care of yourselves, and then I want you to reach around and I want you to take care of someone else near you. All right? And remember, oh, wait, Ronnie's back. Oh, hey, we were saying goodbye, but we're happy that you're here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over here, but I mean, I think that you get the gist. I was trying to round it out and bring it home and just do a
Well, you
huge
bring it
summary
on
of what
home.
we
I
just
have to
talked
go to
about.
work, but we're gonna wait. You go, you bring it home, and I'm gonna hang out here while
Um,
you bringing it home. We got about 20 more minutes before I have to go to work.
okay, well, I was just summarizing, and at the at the end, we can go to all of these what they call the minor prophets to find out what's going on in the end times. But we are approaching. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and just say I think that we're in the 70th week. Can I say that with reserve? But I really think so on the inside.
Hey, you can say it if it. Hey, say what you say. How you feel, Ronnie?
I I'm saying it with reservation, but just to give you some insight, I really think that I think we have entered into the 70th week, but
Well, you know what? If
I don't
nothing
want
else,
to.
it's like Rage said. If nothing else, it's like Rage said. If we ain't there, we really right up on top of it. We're really close. Paraphrasing what Rage Against the Machine said.
Yeah. So the thing about it is that everything's converging. So like, I mean, it's just interesting. Like, over and over again, the scripture says that there will be signs in the heavens that will tell us the coming of the great and terrible day of Yah. And right now, once again, there's this green comet over in the sky right now as we speak, letting us know that something is afoot. Um, being that it's on a 50,000 year cycle, 50,000 year orbit. So we're approaching something. We're approaching something, and it just so happens to be that we're exiting the age of Pisces and we're entering into the age of Aquarius. And uh, Yahweh Shah said he's going to be with us till the end of the age. And then after the end of the age, go ahead and look for the one who's carrying the pitcher of water when you enter into the city. And then there, prepare for the Passover of death. So when we read in between the lines and we decode it, and because he speaks in parables, that's all he does is speak in parables to the masses. He said it. He said it himself. I only speak in parables. So, you know, um, there's much more, and these quote unquote minor prophets. Joel tells you, Amos tells you about it. Of course, the book of Revelation tells you about it, and then of course, if you want to go there, the book of Enoch tells you about it at length. So, yeah, there's stuff involved here. There's stuff involved here.
Oh, I love Enoch. I love it. I really do. I really do. Joy Trujillo says, Felicia and Ron, question: what do you think about about this atomic clock?
Yeah, so I imagine you're talking about the clock that everyone's looking at, and it's that is actual. But listen, I'm talking about the atomic clock, the celestial clock, like that supersedes it all, and that celestial clock is definitely about to click on 12 o'clock on the dot. Like we're about to be in like grand alignment, like grand super alignment coming up shortly, and we're shifting. This is a great shift. This is a great shift out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. And just to be transparent, the age of Aquarius, quote unquote, is basically literally the kingdom that is coming on earth. It's the millennial reign that's going to happen on earth. And we read about that in the book of Revelation. There's so much more to this, but what I'm suggesting, or no, what I'm saying, but I want to package it as a suggestion, but I'm really saying it, is that I think we're here. It's not a matter of the end times, like, oh yeah, we're in the end times and it feels like the end. I'm literally saying that according to these prophecies and the timeline based on Jubilees, the math is letting us know that we are on it. Like, it's here. It is here. Not at the door, but like, if it's at the door, the doorbell is already rung and it's resounding. We have to come on with the come on. We have to be the vigilant watchman on the wall before he comes like a thief in the night and catches us off guard. Because he says, when I come back, is my servants going to be doing what I told them to do, or are they going to be drunk off the wine of the world? That's a paraphrase, but that's basically what he's getting at. So at the end of the day, let's go. Who is Yaz? And if you're Yaz, we have to do this. We have to do this because if you've been doing well, that's awesome. But if you don't do well all the way until the end of the race, then everything was for naught. So we have to spur each other on towards righteousness. Especially at this juncture. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Thank you, Ronnie Mann, for hanging out with us and sharing all this good stuff. Will you come back soon? Of course you will, because I'm going to invite you soon. And I do want us to take a gander. Lee Hill is going to be our next guest. He's coming up, I believe this weekend sometime. I'm not exactly sure the day, but I will definitely post it. He's got some good stuff that he wants to share with us as well. And then he and Ronnie, I know he wants to do a live with you as well, Ronnie. So I'm sure that we're going to have a lot of good stuff as far as the word is concerned, especially sharpening our tools and getting ourselves together even more so as we see the day approaching, encouraging one another to do the will of Yah. I'm going to let you guys hear a song. This is Ronnie Mann. And let me go over here to it. Hold on just a second. I'm going to turn it up a little so you guys can hear it. But it's one of his songs. And Ronnie, I want you to set it up because it's Return to Love. Tell us about this song. Tell us about it, please.
Oh, yeah. We're lost in the shuffle. Just really quick, we're lost in the shuffle in the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of the world, and we have forgotten because we got sidetracked with all of the cares of the everyday things that we have to bear on our shoulders, and we have to return to our first love. And when we do, we'll find peace. We'll find peace. We'll find peace. We'll find love.
So many days, couldn't get it right, couldn't see the light. These memories making me feel like the blanket tender, helping me remember that every time to love. To know you like I know, show you right. The dancing breeze kissing me, helping me to find my way home. I remember yesterday.
Did you just say, I remember like the fringes on the border? is. Wow. Here it is from the very beginning because I have it on a loop. So when I clicked it back, it didn't give it to us from the beginning. I'm going to take both of us off for a second.
The car. All right.
I remember yesterday.
Yeah.
Time returning back to love.
Who in the deep sleep? Falling for the reverie. We was all on Tier 1, how we all on Beverly. Traded in our longevity for the brevity. Hit them with that sneak peek, let me jog your memory. Why you think we always hanging on the corners? We the seat. Look at how we scattered across the borders. Vassal with the tassel, back from the severance. Fringe benefits, bringing it back to my remembrance.
I remember when you told me I can still hear it when the wind blows. Raise the banner for the pony. Can it be? It was all so simple. I read your love letter. Got me breathing in everything you say. Thank you for the wind.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ronnie. I'm so glad that you were here with us today. And folks, if you guys see the link there, make sure you guys go over and visit his channel. And when you get to his channel, sort of massage the subscribe button if you've not already. And before you leave here today, make sure that you are still subscribed to the Lockhart Perspective. I want to thank each and every one of you for being with us again. And I want to also remind you, we can never say the scriptures too much, but we're going to go on ahead and say it again, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys take care of yourselves first, and then I want you to retch around and take care of somebody else, because you know what? If you're not together, reaching around to take care of them is futile, because you won't have the energy to do it. So take care of you, then take care of them. And until you and I see one another again, please continue to be blessed.
Raise the banner for the only. Can it be? It was all so simple. I read your love letter. Got me breathing in everything you say. Thank you for the wind. Helping me remember my way. I remember yesterday. Time returning back to love. Putting me on the way. Time returning back to love. So many days, so many nights, couldn't get it right, couldn't see the light. These memories lifted me to lift the blankets tender, helping me remember time and return to love. To know you like I know, show you around. You dance so breeze, kissing me, helping me to find my way home. I remember yesterday.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you